The next practitioner we looked at was Antonin Artaud, who is most famous for the theatre of cruelty. Artaud was a part of the Surrealist movement, and interestingly was also schizophrenic. But his influences mainly was the avant-garde culture of Europe at the time, and that's kind of where he developed the ideas behind the theatre of cruelty. And in the lesson we talked about how Artaud wanted to disrupt the relationship between the audience and the performer. The cruelty in his idea was sensory, and specifically what it said was the capacity to shock and confront the audience, to go beyond words, and movement to be more powerful than text. Sound and lighting could also be used as tools of sensory disruption. The audience, he thought, should be placed at the centre of the piece of performance. Theatre should be an act of organised anarchy. And also a big part of what he talked about was the void. And the void is it's kind of a strange thing. It's the idea of, like, if you're at the top of a tall building, you have, like, the urge to jump. And the void is that thing which calls to you to jump. And it's like when you ever, like, want to touch fire or something, that's the void calling to you. And that's the feeling, or the idea of the void is what he wanted to inflict upon the audience. He wanted to inflict upon the audience. Is another big idea that he had is theatre as a contagion. And theatre for him, there's a quote from him that we used. It was that theatre for him is a place to shout pain, anger, and hatred, to enact violence in us. The most violent life can burst from terror and death. He's talked about the ancient rituals of blood, the power of contagion, how we have lost the magic of contagion. Ancient religion knew how to enact rituals which made faith and ecstasy contagious. That idea I found quite fascinating, because contagion, having the idea spread like a disease, is quite an evocative and powerful image, although I think it's quite difficult to obtain, because you have to have the audience in a specific place. You have to already work to get them to the stage where they are willing to accept contagion, and for that idea to spread around them. So it's a lot of work. I think as much as Artaud interests me, and I'm fascinated by his work and his ideas, I think for this time anyway in writing, I don't think it's something that I will adopt, because it adds another layer of difficulty, because the writing has to be sharp, and it already has to be sharp because it's for an assessment, but it has to be that much sharper, because you have to get to that, before you even think about contagion or doing that to an audience, you have to get them to that stage. So you have to immerse them pretty instantly. You've got to already have them be immersed, and have them be at that stage where you're ready to try to do contagion, or to try even theatre of cruelty. And overall, I don't think it will work with the piece that I'm writing.